this is Jen from Winrose Fiber Studio. Today we're going to crochet a pinwheel ornament. For this project I'm using a medium weight yarn, a 5mm crochet hook, I have a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and a stitch marker. Let's jump right in. Measure off about 10 inches for your beginning tail, and then we'll join our yarn to our hook with a slip knot and chain 10. This motif is sometimes referred to as a lazy wheel, and it comes with a tutorial for a corded single crochet. This is a technique that I think has many possible applications. Here I have my 10 chains. I'm going to be working into these back bumps. You can work into the side of the chain if you so choose. To begin our project, we'll skip the first 3 chains and work a slip stitch in the 4th chain from the hook. This will be the center of our ornament. For row 1, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch. Place your stitch marker in the back loop only of this single crochet. This stitch can be difficult to locate, especially as our ornament grows in size, so I find it very helpful to have a stitch marker in place. Let's carry on. In the next stitch, you'll work a half double crochet. To do so, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3, and then in the next stitch, a double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 twice. In the next stitch, you'll work 2 double crochets. In the stitch after that, you'll work 1 more double crochet. And then in the very last stitch, you'll work a treble crochet. To do so, yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through 2 3 times. Now we've come to the end of that chain. We have a total of 7 stitches. And now to complete this row, we're actually going to work back along these stitches in the front loop only from left to right. This is our corded single crochet. Just to make it easier to see, I'm going to mark the front loop of the first stitch. The first stitch does feel a little bit more awkward just because you're working in a tighter space. Often with this motif, they have you go directly into this stitch, but I'm going to advise that you chain 1. It gives you a little more slack and a little more room to work with, and the shape is basically the same. So let's take this nice and slow. After you chain 1, sort of move your hook off to the left, and you're going to go under that front loop from the bottom up. You can also see that I'm going to hold down that bottom loop with my pointer finger. This is not absolutely necessary, I just think it's very helpful. And now we're not going to be working a yarn over of any kind. We're just going to grab the working yarn that's right there, go in a straight down motion, and then do a clockwise twist with your wrist, letting go of that bottom loop. You should now have 2 loops on your hook, and you can complete the single crochet by working a yarn over and pulling through both of those loops. Now we're going to do the same thing for each of the next 6 stitches, working in the front loops only. You go from bottom up. I'm holding down that bottom loop, and I'm just going to grab that working yarn, and I'm turning my hook facing the work and going straight down, and then doing a clockwise twist around. I should have 2 loops on my hook, and then I can yarn over and pull through both of those loops. Let's look at it again. Up, grab your yarn, go down and around, then yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook. You're basically creating a single crochet that contains a twist. It feels a little awkward at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's a very fluid motion. I almost find it harder to do slow than at regular speed. So once you get a feel for it, you can work at a good pace. Now, you don't have to hold on to that bottom loop. That's just something that I think is kind of helpful. It's entirely up to you. And with our last stitch complete, we've got our single crochet cord going all the way back across. And then to finish off row 1, we're simply going to work a slip stitch into the center of our ornament, that little ring created by the very first slip stitch. There we are, that's the end of row 1. And because we marked that first stitch, we know exactly where our first single crochet is going to go in the next round. So for rows 2 through 10, we'll be working the same pattern. The row starts off working in those unworked back loops. Our first single crochet goes into our marked stitch, and then take a moment to mark the back loop of this new single crochet. And now we're going to work the same stitches across, working in the back loops only. You may find it helpful to kind of fold that corded single crochet towards you and expose those back loops. So here we go. After our single crochet, we're going to work a half double crochet. Next is a double crochet. The next stitch gets 2 double crochets, so that's 2 double crochets in the same stitch, and then a double crochet in the next stitch, and the last stitch is a treble crochet. That part goes really fast. Let's look at the first corded single crochet, chain 1, insert your hook from the bottom up of the front loop only of the first stitch, grab your working yarn, pull it down, give that hook a clockwise twist, and then yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook. Once you get past that first one, it should be smooth sailing to work your corded single crochet across. Just take your time with it. One of the things I've always loved about crochet is if you slip up, it's very easy to pull out a stitch and try again. It's just 7 stitches across. You know you've reached the end when you reach your stitch marker. You work your last corded single crochet in the front loop of that stitch, and then finish off with a slip stitch into the center of your ornament. Let's take a look at our first 2 rows. Right off the bat, this really sparks my imagination. To me, these look like butterfly wings. They could be outlined flower petals, feathers. I can just see so many possibilities with a motif like this one. Let's work through the row again together. That stitch marker is waiting for you to show you when you're back to the first stitch. And with that and a slip stitch into the center, you've completed the row. We just completed our third row. We need a total of 10. I'm going to show you one more row before I leave you to complete the rest on your own. But remember, always feel free to rewind and crochet along with me. I can imagine so many applications for this corded single crochet. Just edging projects, you can see using it on necklines, the end of sleeves, anything that you want to outline, blanket edging. I think this stitch is well worth the time it takes to get comfortable with it. We just finished row 4. You'll need a total of 10 rows, working your way out in the back loops and then working your way back again from left to right, working that corded single crochet in the front loops. I'll see you at the end of row 10. Hello again, I'm just finishing up the end of row 10. Here's my last corded single crochet. And you can see it's getting tight because now we have 10 rows on here. I'm going to work the very last slip stitch into the center. Now we can cut our working yarn and pull that through our remaining loop. And now the very last thing that we have to do is to sew row 10 to row 1. Now, just for the sake of this video, I'm going to mark all of the stitches just to make it super easy for you to see what I'm doing. Note that I have the wrong side of the work facing me. I'm putting a yellow stitch marker in those unworked back loops of row 10. There are a total of 7 stitch markers on this side. And now we need to put stitch markers in the beginning chain. I count back from the treble to find the single crochet, that's our first stitch, then the half, and then the double, and then there's a stitch that has 2 doubles in it, the next double, and our treble crochet. So this side has 6 stitch markers, but we'll be working through the stitch that contains 2 double crochets twice. I decided to switch to a yarn needle that's a little bit easier to see, and now you can just watch as I go through one side and then the opposite side. I pull the material closed and then I can remove those stitch markers. So we just completed the single crochet, and next is the half double crochet, and then we move on to the first double crochet and we remove those stitch markers. Now we've reached the one that has 2 double crochets in it. So I attach the 2 sides, I take out a yellow stitch marker, but then I go into that purple one a second time and up to the next yellow stitch marker. Now I can take out that purple and the yellow one, and there's 2 stitch markers left on either side, and I can complete sewing these 2 sides together. Here we are, and when we flip over our work, we have our completed pinwheel. Very cute. The ending tail is already coming out right at a point, but I'm going to thread the beginning tail onto my yarn needle and just weave it through so that it's closer to that ending tail. And then I'll make an overhand knot and slide that very close to the work, just to hold all of our stitching in place. Now to turn the pinwheel into an ornament, I'm going to skip a couple of inches and tie one more overhand knot, and that'll give us a loop that we can use to hang our ornament. And then you can just trim off any excess yarn. Our completed pinwheel ornament measures about 10.5 centimeters or 4 inches in diameter. Here's one in white, and here's a larger one. I will give the directions to make a larger one in the description below. Now, in addition to hanging these ornaments wherever you like to hang decorations during the holidays, I also like to use them to decorate gift bags. I have made the switch from gift wrap to reusable cotton bags, and I think it's so sweet to add a personal touch with a homemade ornament on the bag. Here's a white pinwheel on red plaid, and here's our red pinwheel that we just made along with the larger white one on some green plaid. I love the personal touch of a homemade ornament. I have a couple more designs that I'd like to share with you this fall. Let me know if you enjoy crocheting ornaments as much as I do. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe so you never miss a new pattern. I post new videos on Tuesdays, so until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.